The Live Promotions Event Tournament is coming, and it will be the most pressure-packed, panic attack, call it whatever you want, event in the history of golf for these kinds of players. These are not the guys that compete at the Masters, and coming down the stretch at the Masters is phenomenally pressure-packed. But those guys mostly that are coming down the stretch have been there a few times, have money in the bank, mostly. And yeah, it's of course makes your legend to win the Masters or the U.S. Open, sure. But these guys that are playing in this Live Promotions event aren't those guys. They're great golfers, obviously, but they haven't been there yet at this level of pressure. And there's 3 slots, 3 chances to win a ticket to play an entire season on Live where the money is phenomenal. And you're playing against Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka and Cam Smith and Phil Mickelson and other great players throughout the history in the last 10 years of the game, major winners, blah, 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 hang out with Greg Norman, travel around the world. I mean, this is Disney World on steroids for these guys.
Yeah.
And coming down the stretch with a chance to get a 1, 2, or 3 finish is going to be unbelievable. The other point off the top here is previously impossible. This has never happened in golf. Yeah. Never. Nothing like this has happened, and because nothing like this was possible. And I'm going to turn it over to you to go into that. Previously impossible. Nobody has staged an event where you jump from obscurity to Beverly Hills in one tournament, in one 72-hole stretch. It's simply amazing, and I am predicting right here on the show that it will be a phenomenal tournament to watch.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it.
I can't wait to watch it.
I mean, you're going to be sitting there. A couple quick things. Graham McDowell said it will be like no other locker room, I'm paraphrasing, in the history of golf. You've got a bunch of good golfers who are young, who have not made anything, not established anything. You get a chance to play a year in the show. Imagine you're a Major League Baseball player and you get a hit off of Nolan Ryan. You get a full year to prove yourself. That's the biggest difference between this event and anything that's ever happened on the PGA Tour event. The PGA Tour has this criteria and that criteria, and you get to play in this event, but you can't play in that event. No, every Live event, you're teeing it up with DeChambeau and Koepka and Cam Smith and DJ.
With a $4 million first prize.
With a $4 million. The worst you can do is $1.5 million. Okay?
For the season.
For the season.
Finish dead last.
So the point is, the pressure down the stretch, you're a shot out of third place, and I can't even imagine, like I said, the locker room, the atmosphere, the players are going to be, and let's be honest, I am not going to have heard of the vast majority of players, but I can't wait to watch.
Yeah,
I mean, this is going to be.
It'll be.
Talk about. There's no other sport that has had a life-changing event like this.
No, it's been impossible because nobody has wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the PGA Tour could have this kind of thing whenever it felt like it.
Yeah.
It never has. You got to run through hoops and crawl over barbed wire and roll over broken glass to get a chance to compete and again get caught and all this stuff. So I can hear the detractors now, and I can see comments coming in from some that might say, yeah, it's a ridiculous, guaranteed money. Every other sport functions like that. Yeah. You get drafted into the NFL in America, or Major League Baseball in America, or I'm sure how they function in other countries, the cricket leagues, and certainly soccer globally. You get a contract. You have a contract to play at Paris Saint-Germain or wherever. That's normal. It's normal. And yeah, if you're good enough to win this thing or finish in the top 3 of this promotions event, and you can handle that kind of pressure, you're going to get the equivalent of a guaranteed contract for about $1.5 million, $1.6 million, whatever the math works out to. It's nice money, and a lot of your expenses are paid. And you're likely to win even more with your team, or you're going to do better. Hopefully, you can play your way up, maybe even win an event. My God, and make Taylor Gooch obviously just rewrote the history of professional golf this past year by winning $40 million.
Right, exactly. So my golf is unique in that you do not have to have the physicality of any other sport. Taylor Gooch could not play football, couldn't play in the NFL, couldn't play in the NBA. But In golf, you don't have to be 6'8", 280 pounds to play, linebacker in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So
Different skill set.
but the point that I'm making is, if you win, if you get one of these slots, if you get on live you have a year to prove yourself. Because golf, also unlike any other sport, because it's not the physical sport that every other sport is, even tennis. There's no 5'8" tennis players anymore.
That's ship sailed.
Yeah, that's ship sailed. Because you're going to play bad 1 month, you're going to have 4 or 5 bad. If there's 15 tournaments, you're going to have 5 tournaments you can't compete. You're going to have 5 tournaments, you do okay. You're probably going to have 4 or 5 tournaments you're playing well enough to potentially win. And that's what they talk about, why it's so difficult to win a major. And that's why Koepka's attitude in the majors is so great and why he wins them, because he's got a different attitude, realizing I'm going to beat half the field just showing up, because they can't win. They don't have the mental game to win. That's the difference about the PGA Tour. You get your card, you're 126th, and you fall in line in this category. You get 2 or 3 tournaments. Well, I was playing good in the fall when I got my card. Now it's spring. I'm not playing so well, and now I'm back off the tour again.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, the biggest aspect. Because, I shoot 85 one day and 75 the next. It's a strange sport.
It's a phenomenal event. You can quibble and argue and get exercise if you're a traditional golf fan and you hate Liv's format and you hate the existence of such a tour. Fine, you can hate that. We don't, obviously. We're golf fans, and I don't have stock in Liv. Might be nice. But
they haven't called either
this
yet.
tournament. Well, we get those checks every month.
I don't.
This tournament, this promotions event, as just an athlete who has played some things and a fan of sport in general, but golf particularly, it's going to be unbelievable. It really will be. I kind of think of it as the U.S. Amateur, which I love watching. That is a lot of pressure, and those kids are not used to that. And some handle it better than others, and that's cool. Now, they've played under pressure. I mean, they're athletes. Obviously, they've climbed to that level through high school and through college. It's going to be unbelievable. I cannot wait. I hope there's a whole bunch of 24-year-olds that I've never heard of, and they are firing on all cylinders just from as somebody who likes to coach now, different sports, and golf instruction, that too. We like that too. I'd love to be there just working with those guys between rounds on their mental state, because it's going to be, this panic attack is going to happen. They're going to have to deal with it. And, we're going to do shows on this, but I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit. And for those of you that have tuned in to this particular show, what do you do when you're under incredible pressure in an athletic situation, or really in anything, in surgery? If you're under an unbelievable amount of pressure, what's the mechanism to handle it? You're not just born with that talent necessarily. Some people are. Jack Nicklaus comes to mind. Tiger Woods comes to mind. But you can also, not only if you are born with that talent, you can improve it by practicing a certain technique. And if you don't have that talent for handling pressure and you panic or you freak out, when you're under that kind of pressure to the point you don't even like it, even if you're playing a Nassau with your buddies and it's a $10 hole or something and you feel queasy and you just don't know what to do, there's a way. There is a way to do it, and I'll tell you. And then we'll go deep on it in another show. I'll tease you. What do you focus on? Do you focus on outcome or process? Process. What does a process involve more than any other thing? And I sum it up in a detail. We could talk hours about this, and I would love to talk with these guys that are going to play in this panic attack in Abu Dhabi on December 8th. Details. You focus on the smallest detail that you can find and pick out, and you tunnel vision onto that. So if it's golf, you can pick out any number of details, right? Where am I going to put the face of the club on this ball? Am I thinking that I need to hit it on the green in order to have a birdie putt, in order to get a birdie here? Because if I make birdie, I'm going to get a slot? No. If you're thinking that, you're screwed. You need to be thinking about what groove on the club is going to touch the ball in order to produce the shot that you're looking for. And that is all you're focused on. Now, that takes practice to learn how to do that. But at least you have the right idea. And outcome is just not a fact. And when you get good at this, and maybe you experience this, I've never talked to you about this, it's peaceful. It's the more pressure that you get under, if you're a pressure performer, it's peaceful. It's very peaceful because you don't think about
everything else.
Millions of dollars. You don't
There's
think
nothing else going on.
It's a really interesting feeling, being able to. It's peaceful because I only need to worry about what seam on the baseball I'm going to pick up, and where I'm going to put that on the bat, and which way I'm going to go with the ball, if it's over there, over here, and where in the strike zone it's going to be. I'm certainly not thinking that it's 2 outs with a man in scoring position and we need a run to tie. That's not what I'm thinking about. You can't think that. If you do, you're going to strike out or ground out, probably strike out. And I got to tell you, it is peaceful to be able to just think about one thing rather than the electric bill and my wife and my kids and all this other stuff that's going on in your world. And it will be beyond interesting to watch a panic attack on live television when these young guys are chomping down on Sunday, which is 36 holes. 36 holes on Sunday.
Yeah.
So that 2 or 3, whatever they get, a couple hours between rounds. I hope that I hope that it comes off as great as it should. And we're not here to say that. I'm not here to promote live. I'm here to promote these players that are going to have a shot at not only big money, but playing in the big leagues with big players.
What a great concept.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Greg Norman, if this was your idea, I don't know if it was. I mean, I could see it being his idea. Phil is a guy that would be jumping up and down about this, I think, because he's that kind of guy. He's always supported the little guy. Phil Mickelson said,
as we've said many
the obnoxious greed thing is where I was headed. We'll flop on that.
Yeah, as we've said, I hope Phil comes out of this the way he should. He really was looking out for everybody else because he didn't need the money. To get back to your point, I think it was Hogan that famously said, asked his caddy or whomever, well, where do I aim? He said, well, that tree. And he goes, wait. And he said, well, what leaf on that tree?
Exactly. 300 yards in the distance.
300 yards. I want to know what leaf I'm aiming at, not the tree. The tree's way too big a target.
Dialed in. That's what dialed in means. That's what dialed in means.
And the other concept is when you talk about being focused on a spot, you can't say to yourself, I'm going to try to do this. That's the worst thing you can do. You have to have the process where you're going to go through the process to achieve a goal.
This ties in nicely with our golf betting type shows. How to win your Nassau or win an umbrella game, my favorite game, or win a skin. What do you need? Jack Nicklaus, probably the best ever at being dialed in. They phenomenally focused on the details every time he played. To your point, he only hit shots. Some of you know this. Some of you don't. He only hit shots that he felt he could execute at that moment. So Jack, I don't know that he invented it, but he's credited with inventing it. He's certainly the guy that made it what it is, the concept. If he couldn't hit driver mostly exactly where he wanted, he put it away. He didn't use it. And he has said many times, I'm going to get the ball into the fairway, and if I can move it down there 300 yards with a driver, great. That's what I want to do. But if today it's not working, into the bag it goes, and out comes a 1-iron or a 3-wood or something else, because I'm not going to hit it out of bounds with my driver that I don't have under control today. That is process, and that's why he has a gazillion top 10s in the majors.
Right, and that's he always had that process to make him competitive, and that's the big difference. I still think my biggest point is it's one event to give yourself a year to prove yourself, which is completely completely different from anything the PGA Tour has ever done.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, if you were team captain, this will be my last thought on the show. You want to catch more, go to the podcast. We'll do that there. We'll go in more detail about this. We'll do some player reviews because the lineups are not out yet, really. We don't even know who exactly is going to be in this tournament, name by name. And that'll be a whole bunch of good shows there talking about who ponies up from the PGA Tour, if anybody, to go over there. But wouldn't you love to be a team captain? Wouldn't you love to be Brooks Koepka, who I would guess puts a premium on handling pressure?
Yeah.
Because he knows that the reason he can beat, most of the rest of the field in a major, and there's only really 30 guys, as he's famously said. There's only 30 guys I need to worry about. Big part of that is mental. Big part of that is guys that can't handle the pressure, don't know how to handle the pressure, don't have a talent for it, don't have a process for it. You make it through to these slots, you can handle pressure.
Yeah.
I wonder. And that would be,
right.
I mean, that's
huge.
I think he would probably say part of Wolfie's problem this year on the team was he just couldn't get his head together. And he said, I'm having mental problems. Yeah. Wolf said, Matt Wolf. And I'm guessing that Brooks, because Brooks didn't put kid gloves around him and say, that's okay, Matt. The opposite. He said, you're worthless and weak. I mean, Brooks was very vicious about it in a lot of ways.
He really was.
So that tells me that Koepka really values this ability to perform under pressure. And if you win one of these slots, you're a pressure player.
Yeah. My last point is, is Liv hopefully going to have some kind of draft? I think Koepka's going to add 2 players to his team.
I think so.
His brother.
Why wouldn't you? It's
his brother gets demoted. He's not going to bring back Matt Wolff. So, I mean, I'm really also looking forward to that. What a great concept of drafting somebody, because Koepka's team finished 3rd overall, and his team, I don't think they had many podiums, if any. They were down on the list. Not a good year for his team. And that's the thing. It's golf. These are the non-majors are, exhibition events. I love the team aspect on top of it. So you always have something to root for and something to watch.
That is fun.
I almost don't want it now. Granted, I do watch it like on Tuesday nights. I don't have to, because I don't have to find out who wins because none of the media is covering it.
Yep.
So I can watch it.
Every tournament it lives an exhibition, but the Honda Classic, formerly known as, that's not an exhibition.
Yeah.
That's a serious golf tournament.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, to say, one last thing, we could talk forever about everything, that we probably didn't bring up in our OWGR thing is, how obscene is it that the Fortnite and the Wine Country Open gets as many FedEx points as some of the ones that are, in the spring right before Augusta, some of the ones that everybody's going for a tune-up, whether it's Pebble Beach or the Genesis. One of those two is not going to be a signature series event, and you get the same number of points for winning that as you do the Fortnite? I know you love when I say that.
This is a show about the Live Promotions event. You know this, right?
I do. I'm sorry.
But that's the kind of stuff you'll see. You'll hear that on the podcast. Those podcasts usually are an hour.
It was an ending comment.
Yeah. If you want 60 to 90 minutes, not 90, 60 to 75 minutes of golf talk, then that's the place to get it. The Thinking Man Show podcast, which is audio. It's an audio podcast. All right. Well, for today, I'm going to leave by saying one last time I'm excited about December 8th. No, we're not getting promotional money to promote this thing. It's just going to be a heck of a lot of fun to watch. Maybe the most fun I've had watching a golf thing. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, I certainly love the Masters more than anything, all the screens, all that stuff, and the U.S. Amateur. But this is going to be, I think, great. So for now, B-Team is out.
Yeah, Dr. Darkstar's out.
If you're a fan of the show, be sure to subscribe to our new audio podcast, Unfiltered and Off Script. That is where you will get all of our show prep material, wide-ranging conversation on how we come up with these topics, what we choose to zero in on that makes it to the video and the YouTube format, as well as topics that'll never get to YouTube. And there are a lot of those that we like to talk about that'll never make it to YouTube. So look in the description below for the link over to Substack. That's where you can subscribe to the podcast. And thank you again for being a fan.